To build any good brand, first you have to do a good research on what you want to introduce to the market. The alco-bev industry is very competitive, but at the same time, I want any new entrepreneur coming in to believe that we have the best here in India. We have the best botanicals, we have the best of the best alcohol. We can create anything until you have to be true to the product, and the product should speak for itself. So I wanted to try something different. So we came with a rum called Alejandro. What we did differently here is we toasted our local red rice, which is called tandur, on copper pans, infused in the alcohol, and then distilled it to give that nice Christmassy feel to it. People connect with the story, and there should be some connection. For example, Cabo is the birthplace of my mother. It's Cabo De Goa. It's where we spent our summers when we were in school. So I thought it was a very appropriate name for a drink which is so close to Goan style, and Cabo being a Goan name, why not?
Think Goa, you think palm trees, you think coconuts. I have with me Solomon Diniz of Adinco Distilleries, the guy who's created the beautiful Cabo, bottling Goan heritage, sending it all over the country. I have with me Solomon Diniz, who's today going to talk about the strategies of building multiple brands, not one brand, multiple brands, and how to survive, how to thrive in a competitive space like the alco-bev space. Solomon, welcome to our podcast, Hey Entrepreneur How To, and today we want you to tell us how you do it and how they can do it.
Thank you, Floyd, for having me. It's a pleasure. Yes, the alcobev industry is very competitive, especially with the bio brands coming in the country. It's not easy, but at the same time, we should believe in our own resources to build anything. Now, bio is bottled in origin. So, for example, a Johnny or a Beefeater or a Tanqueray 10, which are bottled in their own countries, are giving us a very tough time. But at the same time, I want any new entrepreneur coming in to believe that we have the best here in India. We have the best botanicals, we have the best of the best alcohol. We can create anything until you have to be true to the product, and the product should speak for itself. That's the first criteria.
In 2003, you realized that there was a big gap in the place for premium liquors. You had your international brands, and then you had a couple of domestic brands, but every bartender was looking for that one brand that he could now go to, which is more affordable and hits the right notes. And you launched Cabo.
Yeah.
Right? You bottled Goa, and that became your flagship product. So tell us how to, one is find your USP, and then after finding a gap, how do you go all out and conquer that market?
So as far as Cabo is concerned, yes, 2003, we conceptualized the idea of coming with a coconut liqueur. And why coconut? See, Goa is almost like the Caribbeans. It is full of palm trees, the sunset. It's so beautiful with the beaches. I thought it was the most appropriate product to, showcase Goa. And our label itself is designed around Goa. And coconut is something which is there in every house, I would say, in Goa. We started our research. We got the right notes by 2006. It's when we launched the product. And we didn't have that time much of Facebook or Instagram. It is just how much of miles of walking you have done on the beach. So when Cabo was launched, I walked from Palolem Beach to Kering Beach. It took me 6 months. We used to put chilled Cabo bottles in a great ice bucket, and we used to walk the beach. So we used to take the permission of the shack owners and ask, can we ask them to try this? So in case they like, they might ask you to keep it. So I'm not asking you to buy it. If she or he likes it, then you may proceed to buy the bottle.
Interesting. That's 6 months of, running on the sand.
I was almost pitch black by the time I finished it. 6 months, yeah.
Yeah, but the product was going green.
Yes, right, the product was loved, and especially in the hot sun, somebody is sleeping there, sunbathing, you're giving them a shot of chilled Cabo, and they say, wow. It was 90% wow, and people would say, this is something I want to have for the evening. So the shack owner used to buy the bottles. And that's how we hit the shacks first, then we hit the retail.
Oh, interesting approach. So you went to the shacks first, you went directly to your customer first, and then you went to retail.
Yeah. It was a simultaneous thing, but retailers would normally give an answer. Nobody's asking for this brand. Why would I keep? So we hit the shacks first. And when the demand was there, retailers were willing to give the brand. Yeah.
And how to basis your success on Cabo? How did you now realize, okay, this is my success formula? How do I bring in this success formula to the other brands that I'm going to launch or the other brands that I've launched? You launched Tickle, which also is a bartender's favorite.
Yeah. As I said, all my brands are 100% natural in terms of flavors. We will take the base spirit, that is a grainy, and infuse oranges if I'm making a triple sec. So we use a Nagpur orange, keep it for a maceration period of maybe 14 days, and then we will distill this alcohol. Once it is distilled, we'll use this as a base spirit and then create our liqueurs. So the oils are in the alcohol rather than just adding a flavor and blending it. We do the from scratch how the product should taste, smell, and this has paid us with rich dividends because the quality is accepted.
So you also spoke about being natural, right? To a layman, right? Someone who just comes to Goa, wants to go to a wine mart and buy an alcohol. He might not be in a position to give me something natural, right? However, today can we burst some myths on the alcohol industry? When you say natural, maybe there are something that we do not know about the alcohol industry, or maybe what is healthy and what is not. Because a lot of alcohol buying is bought by either someone talking about it, word of mouth, or referrals by the wine mart guy, right? Or something that you probably seen on social media.
So if you take a Feni, for example, it is a distilled 100% Feni. There's nothing written on the back. It's just written Feni. Ingredients will be just Feni, distilled Feni. Because you add nothing to it. Whereas in coconut liqueur, for example, Cabo, you will say ingredient list will be your alcohol, that is the grain ENA, then you add natural flavors, and you add sugar, then you add glycerin, which is also natural by. But if you write NI on the back of a label instead of natural, that is nature identical.
Okay.
So that won't be 100% natural, but it's nature driven, but there is some content which is used for stability of the natural flavor. So that makes it not 100% natural.
Got it. What about molasses, right? So in your rum, there is a myth about molasses being...
No, it's not a myth as such, but rum is basically molasses driven. So I wanted to try something different. So we came with a rum called Alejandro. Instead of molasses, I use grain. So there's a lot of debate. How can a grain be a rum? But what we did differently here is we toasted our local red rice, which is called ukde tandoor, on copper pans. We toasted them, infused in the alcohol, and then distilled it to make it to give that nice Christmassy feel to it, like normally you eat a pinagri for Christmas. Correct. So you get that kind of a flavor in that alcohol.
So would grain be more healthier than molasses?
I wouldn't say any alcohol is healthy as such, but if you want to have a nice...
An alternative.
Alternative. I would say grain is much better, less harmful for the human body than molasses.
Oh, interesting. That's something we've learned today as well. You have a very interesting set of names, right? Like Tikoni, you have Cabo. What's the inspiration behind these names? Is it something you have as a signature to Adinco as a brand? Or is it designed, every time you launch a new product, it's a new story that you bring in? Yeah, see, people connect with a story. And there should be some connection. For example, Cabo is the birthplace of my mother. It's Cabo de Rama. It's where we spent our summers when we were in school. So I thought it was a very appropriate name for a drink which is so close to Goan style, and Cabo being a Goan name, why not? So that's how we came with Cabo. And for that, at a Tinto is a marketplace. We used to say, my aunt used to say, Baba Tintyar what's but for elders, Tinto meaning was normally there has to be a taven there. Correct. So when they say we are going to the Tinto, means they are going to the taven. Male version is a taven. So we said, why not Tinto for our Feni? Tikoni as well. That's a very interesting name. Yeah. So Tikoni is basically T means aunt in Portuguese. Connie was my mother's name again. And during summer holidays, most of our cousins used to come and stay. And they used to all the time say, Tikoni, give me this, Tikoni that. When I was thinking about a name for the liqueur, I was say liqueurs, so feminine drink, and why not name it after my mother itself? So name Connie was not sounding that great, but adding T to it was something which gave really some weightage to it and meaning to the name. Okay, that's what you've done is you've actually told your story in each and every brand, right? It's your childhood story. It's something that has connected your family. And I think you bring that to each and every brand of yours, right? So Cabo has a particular signature touch of Solomon, right? Tinto has a signature touch of your story. Right? At the end of the day, a brand is what story are we telling? What's your signature story that I can rest assured whenever I go to Goa, whenever I want to take a piece of Goa back, I'm taking this story back, which is your story. Yeah. Right. So, in fun fact is, I did my MBA, and a lot of our friends used to take a lot of bottles home. So I introduced them to Cabo. Okay. And fun fact, I got to know Solomon just a few days back. So I got to them to introduce them to Cabo, and ever since that, the whole institute, I think, majority of the people would take back a Cabo while going. Still, when they come down to Goa, a lot of messages, Floyd, where can I get a Cabo? Where can I get this? Right. So it definitely has a strong Goan signature to it. And I think beyond your cashew nuts and your bibinka and your feni, I think Cabo is now taking the coconut palm right out of Goa.
Yeah, most retailers tell whenever they say it is the takeaway of Goa today.
The takeaway of Goa.
Yeah. So Cabo has earned that reputation, and they also call him it's Goa's tourism. So some retailers say this is what the brand Cabo has done. I would say I humbly accept it, but there's a lot of work behind the brand, and I'm more thankful to the people itself because it's them who have made this brand.
No, absolutely. I think so. There's nothing like this right now in the market, and it has. We are all loyal drinkers of your brand.
Thank you.
So you have over 90% of your workforce as women. So I just want to ask you, what's your secret sauce to hiring, and why you have such a strong women workforce? What would be the benefits? What would be of having a women workforce?
Generally, women is in this industry, especially men will be tending to drink a little here and there. So maybe that fear, I don't know, but the workforce that we have is all around our factory. The women that come, just so loyal to their work. They're so dedicated. They consider it is theirs. It is their own. I don't have to be a second worried as to what is happening in the factory. It is so well driven by this force. And it's more than I wouldn't say they are working for me. I would rather say we work together. It has been a pleasure so far working
with the local workforce.
With the locals. And the dedication and the quality which comes in the bottle day in, day out, it's also credit goes to them because they take care of every minute detail.
So while they take care of your manufacturing and your products, you're out there thinking about what's next, right? So what's your typical way of finding the next big thing, right? Do you go on the internet? Do you hire consultants? Do you go through a lot of industry research? What's your research style?
So to build any good brand, first you have to do a good research on what you want to introduce to the market. For example, if you want to introduce a good coffee liqueur, so you have to understand what are the requirements of the market, which are the beans you will use, how you'll distill this and make a base spirit out of it, or just use a yen, that won't work. So until you don't get the right product, I would advise don't introduce your market. And even though you have the great marketing strategy, because this marketing strategy of yours might get your product to the masses, but they might not like it. So there is no going back to the drawing board. So get the product right first, then hit the market. I would say go slow, but go the right direction.
Are you someone who would, sit behind the bar or stand, just observe people at the bar? How do you gauge consumer behavior on what's the trends are? Because that's changed, right?
Yeah.
Especially a good mix of Gen Z and millennials right now in the market. How do you research that?
The best chair to have in this industry, I would say I call it the PhD chair, is to sit across the bar and just observe people, what they're asking across the counter, what the barman is doing, how the industry has changed over the years. Well, I'm sitting at the bar stool since 2000. Till date, even if I go tomorrow to a bar, I will see where the bar is and I will sit there or stand there. Or if I'm sitting at a table across, I will only I will be facing the bar and sitting. I will never give my back to the bar. Because I have to, it has become so subconsciously involved in me that I can't, it's like looking at the altar. I can't give my back to the altar. I would simply put it that way. And that you do not know how it plays a role in your subconscious mind. It is a pivotal information that you get every now and then of what can be achieved.
Do you have any insights on what the market is moving to? What is the new Indian alco-bev market like?
Yes, mostly the whole industry as such is moving towards craft. And you can see the big heads like Diageo, Pernod, they're all getting into the craft world. Of late, you have seen UB investing in Pistola. So this is something very rare. And I would say craft is the next thing and focus on it. And it is a small player's game. everybody can achieve as long as they get the right
Okay.
product. Yeah.
The best craftsman's win.
Yes, and the drive should be passion oriented. This industry drives on passion. If you do not have that, I would recommend please don't enter the industry.
Okay, so how do you now how to ensure that passion now is translated to profit, right? Because a lot of entrepreneurs start with passion and then are demotivated when the profit doesn't happen. Right? So someone like you would have seen the ups and downs of businesses, right? Extremely passionate, and but all new products don't do well. How do you? What's your few takes on how to keep inspiring yourself, how to keep motivating yourself to ensure your passion is translated to profit?
See, to gauge the passion, you'll understand by the product. If the product is wrong, that means you have done something wrong. There are few products which are so good, you can see the passion, but they are not doing well. Sometimes I also I'm failing to understand why they are not doing that great, because I ask myself, because this product has to be doing really good. The product is so good, but no. In some cases, the product is doing okay fairly, but the product inside the bottle is not that great. But eventually it will fail. That also I can understand, yeah. But the product which I said earlier, product is good, but is not doing that well, but it has a future. It will do well if the entrepreneur, whoever has brought it to the market, has the patience, holds on, and keeps doing the basics right.
So passion plus patience plus doing the basics right will always win.
Yes.
Right. So I think that's some great insights on how to take passion, right? How to persevere and conquer any market, especially competitive spaces where the international bigwigs dominating, right? Being boutique might be the next big thing.
Yes, it is.
Right. So being boutique might not be that bad as well. However, you have 3-4 master products. So you've created a product that is taking the flavors of Goa all over India, right? Have Cabo, you have Tinto, you have Tickle, all the with strong heritage of Goa. And what you've done well is, I think you've packaged Goa, and people can take away Goa through Adinco, right? So I think what your journey has been is perseverance, because you have over 15 brands right now.
Yes.
In the last decade or so. In a decade or so, and each one has a different USP. What I put that on the screen now, the brands that we have, and you've taken your family, right? Your mother's name, your aunt's, your stories, and made that into your brand. After all, a brand with a story always wins. So I would like to thank you today for coming onto our podcast and telling us your story of how you've taken Goa and taken it to the world. And we wish you all the best. My name is Floyd Tavares, the co-founder of Branding Consulting. We are a brand strategy firm, and we want to pick the minds of business people who've done it, who've launched successful brands, and give us their insights on how to build the right strategy to build your business. If you do like the content, please do not forget to subscribe, follow, show some love. This is me, Floyd Tavares, signing out on another episode of Hey Entrepreneur How To, with the inspiring Solomon Diniz of Adinco Distilleries. Thank you, Solomon, for being on our podcast.
Thank you, Floyd.